Why is it that the minute we blow past 50 or 60, society just expects us to accept that our bodies are going to break down? Man, I used to wake up and my joints were absolutely screaming. I was literally terrified that my strength was just washing down the drain and that getting frail was my only option. But what if I told you there's a way out? A way to actually reclaim that thick, classic, silver-era physique and do it without wrecking your knees or snapping your lower back. Today, I'm sharing a hidden toolkit of 5 old-school strength drills that completely changed the game for me. Now, I'm keeping the big reveal under wraps until the end, so stick around, because inside this explainer, we're breaking down exactly how to turn back the clock.
Seriously, why do we just accept getting weaker? I remember catching my reflection in the mirror one day and just realizing, wow, I totally bought into the lie about aging. I actually thought hitting 60 meant I had to trade in the barbell for a pair of walking shoes. But you know what? That is absolute garbage. I went down this massive rabbit hole and unearthed a forgotten super joint-friendly method, the exact same method those golden era guys used to stay absolutely jacked well into their golden years. And I promise you, by the end of this explainer, you're going to have those exact 5 drills in your back pocket to start rebuilding your foundation from the ground up.
Okay, let's look at the actual science here. Sarcopenia. It sounds intimidating, and frankly, it really is. We're talking about the gradual, age-related loss of skeletal muscle mass, strength, and function. The clinical data from the ESPN guidelines paints a pretty grim picture for us. Basically, if we don't fight back, we lose our independence, period. But here's the kicker the sources highlight. It's usually not just the muscle bellies giving out first. It's our stabilizers. It's the tendons. It's the joints that throb when you roll out of bed. It's the stuff that suddenly takes 3 whole days to recover from when you used to just shrug it off in your 20s.
So look at the stark contrast in how guys try to fix this. Usually, we jump right back into the modern 20-year-old bro split. You know the one. Exhausting, injury-prone, insane volume on isolation machines. Guys, that just doesn't work for us anymore. Our recovery capacity simply isn't the same. Instead, we need to look at the old-school silver-era approach from the 1940s and 50s. Think about legends like Vince Gironda or Leroy Colbert. These guys built sturdy, aesthetic, absolute brick-house physiques by leaning on joint-friendly, foundational compound movements. They trained way smarter, utilizing full-body or upper-lower splits, and stayed incredibly strong without beating themselves into the dirt.
So, the absolute crucial piece of the puzzle here is understanding how we lift. Legendary strength coach Pavel Tsatsouline hit the nail on the head. He says, each rep closer to failure exponentially increases recovery time. Listen to me on this one. Training to total muscular failure is a massive trap for older guys. It absolutely wrecks our central nervous system. Worse, it literally converts our explosive, fast-twitch muscle fibers into slower ones. We just end up fried, we're sore for a week straight, and we make 0 actual progress.
And this ties perfectly into a crazy historical Soviet strength secret from Olympic champion Arkady Vorobyev. He pointed out that there was a big difference between 6 sets of 3 and 3 sets of 6. Think about it. It's the exact same total number of reps, right? But the secret sauce is staying fresh. It's about practicing the lift rather than just punishing your joints. When you flip it and do more sets of fewer reps, you build incredible functional power. Your technique stays absolutely flawless, and your nervous system doesn't get completely smoked in the process.
Now, before we even think about hitting the gym floor, we gotta talk fuel. Because you simply cannot outtrain a bad diet, especially at our age. The SMN guidelines on clinical nutrition and aging actually reveal something pretty wild. As older men, we face this hurdle called anabolic resistance. In plain English, our bodies get incredibly stubborn and way less efficient at synthesizing protein. So, contrary to what most guys think, we actually need more fuel and a higher protein intake to trigger muscle growth today than we did back in our 30s. Crazy, right?
You need to hit this number hard, guys. We're talking 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight every single day. That is the absolute sweet spot for older adults if you want to combat sarcopenia and stack on thick muscle. To put that into perspective, if you're an 80-kilo guy, you're looking at roughly 130 to 175 grams of protein daily. You literally have to feed the machine. And you've got to pair that with 7 to 9 hours of rock-solid sleep. Because remember, recovery is when the actual muscle tissue gets built, not when you're grinding under the bar.
All right, tough love time. Before I show you the good stuff, we need to talk about the junk volume you need to ditch right now if you want to save your joints. According to sources like WebMD, things like heavy 1-rep maxes, they just aren't worth the risk anymore. Ditch the leg extension machines too. They put wicked shear stress right on your kneecaps. Behind the neck presses, those are basically guaranteed to shred your rotator cuffs. And those explosive plyometric box jumps, man, that's just begging for a blown Achilles. Seriously, leave that stuff to the 20-somethings.
All right, here we go. The moment you've been waiting for, the reveal. Let's dive into the 5 old-school drills for men over 60.
Drill number 1 is the goblet squat. Look, we absolutely have to maintain leg strength to prevent falls and keep our independence. But loading up heavy back squats can just be brutal on an older lumbar spine. The goblet squat completely fixes that. By holding a dumbbell or a kettlebell right up in front of your chest, it physically forces your posture to stay upright. If your ankle mobility is a little stiff, just slide a couple of 5-pound plates under your heels. It builds massive quad and glute strength while completely sparing your lower back.
Moving on to drill 2, the dead hang. Now, this is an old-time strongman secret. Way before modern wrist straps, guys built crushing grip strength literally just by hanging from things. It's wild, but most modern guys over 40 can't even hang for 30 seconds straight. Grip strength is highly correlated with overall longevity, and hanging actively decompresses your spine while completely bulletproofing your shoulders and grip endurance. You just jump up, grab a bar, and hold on until your hands give out. It's incredibly simple, and it's brutally effective.
Next up is drill 3, the stiff leg deadlift. We cannot ignore the posterior chain, your hamstrings, glutes, and lower back. But pulling max weight straight off the floor with a conventional deadlift, that's a great way to pop a disc if you're not super careful. The stiff leg deadlift is the workaround. Using dumbbells or a moderately loaded barbell lets you safely hinge at the hips. This hammers those crucial backside muscles without the brutal lumbar strain. Just focus on feeling that deep stretch and keep your movements highly controlled.
Drill 4 is the supported one-arm row. As we age, it's super common for our shoulders to round forward and our upper backs to just get weak. Well, this is the ultimate posture builder. Doing heavy, freestanding bent-over barbell rows puts your lower back in a really vulnerable, unsupported position. But by using a bench to support your non-working arm or even laying your chest against an incline, you entirely protect your spine from those nasty shear forces. You can safely hammer your lats and rear delts and restore that upright, powerful posture.
And for our 5th drill, it's actually an entire old-school methodology for getting your chest and shoulders totally jacked, without needing heavy weights. It's the Iron Guru Vince Gironda's famous 8x8 method. Here's how it works. Pick a compound move, like a dumbbell bench press, load up about 60 to 70% of your max, and hit 8 sets of 8 reps. But here's the kicker. You only get 30-second rests between sets. Gironda called it the honest workout, and man, he wasn't kidding. It creates massive metabolic stress, burns a ton of calories, and forces explosive muscle growth without crushing your joints.
So let's put this whole puzzle together. This right here is the veteran's blueprint to growth, because you can't just casually do the exercises and expect magic. It is a full lifestyle system. Number 1, train full body or upper-lower splits just 3 to 4 days a week. Seriously, ditch those 6-day bro splits. Number 2, consistently hit that high daily protein target. Number 3, fiercely prioritize your sleep and maybe throw in some foam rolling. And number 4, apply progressive overload safely. Track what you lift and just try to nudge it up a tiny bit over time. These elements absolutely have to work together biologically to get that vintage aesthetic transformation.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Will you let age dictate your strength, or are you going to start building the ultimate silver era physique today? The tools are right in front of you. The science backs it up, the old-time strongmen proved it, and now the choice is entirely yours. Don't let anyone tell you that your best years are in the rearview mirror. Get in the gym, train smart, and I'll see you in the next explainer.